This week's episode is brought to you by Seeking.com. You're listening to #NoFilter with Zack Peter. That's me, your naturally platinum blonde pop culture connoisseur. I'm the reality TV junkie, self-improvement addict, and host with only the hottest tea spilled fresh weekly. For more hot takes, go and give me a follow at Just Plain Zack. I always keep it funny and I always keep it cute. And if you're like me and you want to stay up to date with the latest reality tea, just go and give us a follow at NoFilter with Zack on the Instagram, or you can join our private Facebook group. The link is in the description below. I'm excited because our wine is finally expanding. We no longer have just the 4 OGs. We now have a new, very special, limited edition Potomac can that says, "Drag me, I dare you," and it is delicious. And it's stronger than the original 4 because now we're 14% alcohol. So you're going to get Liddy City all summer long. On sale right now. Go to nofilterwine.com. I'm really excited for today's guest. You may know her as an irreverent shrink and an LA Times best-selling author. She's whipped many celebs into gear, from helping couples on WeTV to solving Gorga family drama on The Real Housewives of New Jersey. Here to serve it to me straight, please welcome the host of The Tea with Dr. V, the Dr. V.
Oh, thank you for having me. And I should take you everywhere for that introduction.
Welcome to my new studio, Dr. V. Cheers.
I love the new studio. Are we starting early here? It's a Friday, and I feel
Friday,
like
so
I should open up one of these wines as well.
Liddy City.
And I have, I'm ready to mention it all.
I feel like that's your vibe. That's why I gave you that can.
Because
you always spill the tea every time we're together. And you always give it to me straight, too.
Yeah.
You always tell me, like, when I'm choosing the fuckboys and I shouldn't be choosing the fuckboys.
Yeah.
So.
Have you been doing that lately?
A little bit.
Oh, tell us.
A little bit. Well, first I want to talk about your new podcast.
Wait, let me drink some of this.
Because I've been listening.
Hold
Okay,
on.
sip it. Do some ASMR.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. They're stronger now.
Oh,
The ones I originally sent you were 12.8% alcohol, and these are now 14%.
Wow, I got shit face on the 12.
It's funny. People would send me like DMs and be like, "I didn't realize that," because they're small. So because they're meant to like pack a punch. I sneak them into like my Ubers wherever I go. I get high on my own supply. So they're meant to be compact, but they pack the punch, Dr. V.
And not only that, they're delicious.
Thank you.
And I just really love it. It's refreshing.
Thank you.
It's like a nice, refreshing thing to be drinking.
And there's no sugar, so you're not going to be hungover. You'll get Liddy City, but you're not going to be hungover tomorrow. I promise. Wow. I've had many a drinks with many a friends.
I mean, it's 1:00 here, so I suppose I could just chug the whole thing if I wanted to.
Well, okay, so you have a new podcast. You've joined the podcasting game.
Yes.
The Tea with Dr. V.
Mm-hmm.
I listened to it. I listened to you grow Francesca. I had Harry in studio, so I got the opposing side of that showdown between the two of them. But talk to me about this new podcast that you have. You have so many celeb interviews. You get them to be so open and vulnerable. I feel like everybody cries on your show all the time.
Well, it's about discovering the things you never knew about the people you do. Mm-hmm. And so people come on the podcast really for this safe space. And we get to learn things about people that we see in the media that we think we know. Mm-hmm. And they tell us perhaps something about themselves that we never knew. And we get to see a different side of them. And this could be people who are controversial, who were misaligned in the media. And so it seems to be becoming this place where people come to really explore and share a different side of themselves. And I've been having such a ball. I've been having a really good time. Everyone was pushing me for years to do a podcast. And to be honest, I was busy doing everybody else's. It's true.
It's true.
I mean, I must have been on someone's podcast 3 or 4 times per week.
Yeah.
And then finally, my agent was like, look, I have, a great deal for you, and I think you should get into it, and I think you'll love it. And so I started it, and I really do enjoy it. I really do. I love interviewing in a different kind of way than you would perhaps in a therapeutic setting.
Right.
It's a different skill set. You're listening for different things. So for someone like me who loves to learn something new, and I'm not scared to struggle with it. I'm not scared to look like a fool. For God's sake, I've made a career out of failing. So I'm really enjoying it. The Tea with Dr. V.
It's very different from TV, though, right? Which you've done for many, many years. But now I feel like when you have your own podcast, like you are in more control of the actual content and the conversations. Was that kind of new for you, directing and hosting? Because I feel like when I'm hosting, I have to have like 15 different tabs open in my brain all the time. I have to be like watching the time and looking at the guest and making sure I still look hot on camera. Like there are just so many things that go through your head. Was it a natural transition for you?
Yeah, it was really natural for me. And I think that coming from a television background, I still had my hands in all of that because I'm that kind of a person where I have to know everything. I love learning. And so for it kind of feels very similar. It's not much different for me.
And it's available on all podcast platforms, right?
Yeah,
so if they're listening
to
to this right now, they can go and listen to The Tea with Dr. V and leave you a 5-star review. People don't know the value of 5-star reviews on iTunes.
Yeah, they don't.
So go and listen. You just had Chloe on your show, I saw. Chloe from Too Hot to Handle and The Circle. I love Chloe. You made her cry too.
Yeah.
Are you going to make me cry today?
Well, we're drinking, so the answer could be yes or no. We might hit it off and go out later, or we're going to sit here and cry the whole night.
God, I love it. So, okay. So available on all podcast platforms, The Tea with Dr. V. Are you ready to answer some hot topics with me?
Oh, let's do it.
We have so many celebrity couples that are making so many headlines, and I need to get your perspective because I naturally have so many unfiltered opinions myself, but people are tired of hearing mine. I want to know what you think about Jennifer Lopez and Ben Affleck. I mean, we all know he has a terrible back tattoo, but they were together back in the day. They've reignited. Some people are suspecting that it's a PR stunt. But what is your take on Lo and Ben Affleck? And then we'll talk about like getting back with your ex.
Well, my take is that they have been longtime friends. They've been in communication for years, for decades. I mean, God, when was Bennifer for us? I'm much older than you. I think I was maybe was I in my 30s? Was it 20 years ago?
Was it 20 years
ago? It could be. And so the point that I'm getting at is that they're longtime friends.
Yeah.
And my guess is because she showed up with him so quickly, she was probably leaning on him in terms of the breakup. She was probably reaching out to him, probably talking to him. He probably was a great support system for her.
Do you think it's going to work out for them long term?
I don't really know. I don't like to make those kinds of predictions. It's working out for them now. She's going through the grieving process. I think I just read somewhere that she had every photo attempted to be removed from all social media, from all media in general, with her and A-Rod. So she's certainly going through a loss and she's grieving. I think Ben is part of that grieving process. And so my hope is that she comes out of it okay, Yeah. And that he's able to facilitate a supportive environment for her.
So what is it about our exes that we gravitate towards, especially when we go through a breakup or we are in the grieving process? Like, is it comfort? Is it familiarity? Is it just the rebound of knowing that we have a history with this person? Like, why do we go back to our exes? 'Cause I'm ready to text mine.
They understand your brand of insanity. They get your code of crazy.
You don't have to do the interview process again.
You don't have to explain anything. You don't have to meet someone new. You don't have to explain yourself. And by the way, they probably know about what you are going through as well. So they become a supportive role in the grieving process. And it's about, you're right, it's about the comfortability factor. Um, it's about feeling like you can be yourself.
Do you believe in like that long lost love? Like, I feel like we all have like our first love, and then we think that like at some point we're gonna walk into a coffee shop and they're gonna be sitting across the room from us, and it's gonna be like, oh, it's destiny, it's meant to be, it's, you know, Ryan Gosling in The Notebook, and this is who I'm supposed to be with. Do you believe in that theory, or do you believe that we evolve and our relationships kind of evolve with us, and it's unhealthy to go back to those old flames?
Well, you're saying two things. On the one hand, you're sort of describing this fantasy. So I definitely don't believe in that.
Okay.
But people evolve and people change. And the person that you knew 1 year ago, 5 years ago, 10 years ago, I feel like you're giving me this face like I'm enabling you to text this ex.
No, but it's making me think about it.
We evolve. And
Yeah.
so, you know, your partner, your ex-partners evolve too in
Right.
some way or another. They shift and they change. So to go back and try again, there's nothing wrong with that.
Yeah.
Not at all. Nothing at all. So what is making you feel like you want to text your ex?
I think for me,
First of all, can we not text? And can we just talk about a phone call?
Yeah.
Okay, thank you.
I think people are afraid. I like phone calls. I like FaceTimes. Like if I meet somebody on a dating site or a dating app, I'm like, let's do a FaceTime so I can make sure, you know, you actually look like what you look like.
You have to be over 35 then.
Yeah.
Are you over 35?
I'm not over 35. I'm 28. I'm 28.
You're an old soul. You're an old soul.
I mean, I must be.
Well, you look like you're 18. So that's
Thank
why I
you.
was like shooting for the stars. I was like, you got to be old. Because only old people.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, and there's theories about like people, so for example, I mean, when was the last time you saw someone under 35 clapping and snapping to music?
No. Well,
No.
no.
Doesn't happen. Doesn't happen anymore. As soon as I see someone clapping and snapping, I'm like, okay, they're over 35. I'm clapping and snapping, and I'm almost 50.
Yeah.
So I get it. I get it. Well, anyway, we've gone off track. Go ahead.
I think for me, it's more of like I've gone through a challenging year, or a challenging few years, but this year different in the sense that I lost my grandmother, who's basically like my mother. And I lost her a few months ago. It happened very quickly, very suddenly. Like one of the like, you know, you all have that family member that like, oh, you're like, oh my God, you've been dying for 20 years. When are you going? She was the complete opposite of that. Like we just thought she had so much more life left in her. And so being that she was the closest person that I had in my life and I have that absence, I'm in a weird place emotionally and dating wise. Like I'm a little more guarded. I'm a lot more sensitive. And I think that's why I'm maybe a little more guarded. So instead of having to get to know somebody new, it does feel a little comfortable to maybe resort to something that I knew prior.
You're saying two things. One is that you're going through a grieving process. And I want to say that I'm very sorry to hear about your grandmother.
Thank you.
Those relationships are so special when we have those generational relationships. So that's first of all. And so when we're grieving, because we've lost someone, and usually when we lose someone close, we also lose pieces of ourselves.
Yeah.
And that is science, by the way. So when you are close with someone, you're exchanging chemicals, you're exchanging biology with one another. And so when they die, a piece of you goes with them. And so it's only natural and it's only normal to want to turn to past or other permanent people in our lives to go through this grieving process with. So I get why you want to text this person. But if that's the only reason, that wouldn't be good for him.
Right.
Right? It'd be a selfish reason to contact someone. Now, you could be straight up and call and be like, so yeah, I'm going through this loss. You were a supportive person in my life.
Right.
And hey, I'm here.
Yeah.
You
I
know?
also feel like he understood the relationship. Whereas like, I feel like, you know, as you get older, new people come into your lives, new friendships develop, that not everybody fully understands your past and your history. So when you lose somebody that's so close to you, it's easy to lean on somebody that at least understood where you came from and what that
Oh,
relationship meant.
absolutely. So he's a bridge
Yeah.
between you and the relationship. He understood it. Um, do you have your phone with you?
I do.
Maybe you should call him. Let's give him a call.
Not right now.
Yes, we're doing it right
Dr.
now.
Fee. Oh my God, that would be crazy.
What's so crazy about that? We're talking about it. Why not do it? Just give him a call. Leave a message.
Oh my God. I don't even know if he would pick up.
Who cares?
You,
What's his name?
I can't say that on air.
Yes, you can. You can give his first name.
I'll
Give his initials.
RR.
Oh, R squared.
R squared.
Okay. Which would really be 4 R's, but we'll let it slide.
Dr. Fee, this is how you get how you get people vulnerable on your
get
show.
Get him on the phone. Just leave a message.
What would I even say?
Well, let's talk it out. What would you say? You've been thinking about texting him. Fuck the text. You're going to call him.
I feel like...
Why couldn't you tell him what you just told me?
Did I delete his number?
What? Lies.
I swear.
Lies.
There's no R. I mean, there's one RR, but that's my cousin. Hold on.
Lies.
I seriously don't have his number. Phone,
Okay, RR, if you're out there, you know who you are, so you call us.
Oh my God. I was legit going to do it right now, too.
Zach
there has to be a way to
wants to
find his
talk
number.
to you, RR. Does he listen to your podcast?
Maybe.
The fact that you don't have his number.
I deleted it. I didn't even realize I deleted it.
If you're listening, don't pick up.
That's a bad sign.
Because this motherfucker doesn't even have your phone number.
I know I unfollowed him on social media and I blocked him for a bit at the beginning. I didn't realize I deleted his number, though.
What caused you to block him?
I didn't want the bridge anymore.
Oh.
I wanted to cut it off only because I feel like I knew what I wanted and he wasn't in the place where he was willing to give me that. And we were really young at the time that, like, you know, I just don't think we were on the same page. He wasn't willing to give me what I wanted at the time, which was more of a commitment. And he wasn't ready for that.
Do you think you're ready for more of a commitment?
Not right now.
So you're going to call RR because he's not ready for a commitment. You're not ready for a commitment. So this could be a match made in heaven.
Maybe.
Okay.
Maybe.
Just trying to hash it out, you know?
Okay. That's fair. That's fair. God, Dr. V, you're peeling back the layers of the onion.
We're having so much fun. I'm bummed that RR isn't in your phone.
I'm surprised that RR isn't in my phone. I literally did not even realize I deleted that number.
Oh my God.
I delete a lot of guys, though, or I rephrase their names in my phone to say, like, doesn't value you, or, you know, doesn't give you the time of day. And that's what I'll change their name in my phone to, so that if I want to text them, that's what it says in my phone. I feel like I've
What
deleted
a wonderful piece of advice for your listeners. Do they know that you do that?
No.
What a wonderful piece of advice. Change the name to something about them that you weren't getting before you go and text.
If and when they do reach out to me, I see that as doesn't value you as texting you right now. And it's like, oh, I know homeboy doesn't value me. I'm not going to respond to that text message.
Well, we were just talking about people changing and evolving. And I know that there are some people out there, like, people never change.
Yeah.
You know, leopard doesn't change its spots. It actually does change its spots, by the way, scientifically. So that's a bunch of bullshit. But people do change.
Yeah.
And they do evolve. And to think that we don't goes against every scientific theory in the universe. So people do change. So this sentence that you've given someone is a great tool to keep your boundaries, right? Because at the end of the day, that's what this is about. It's about a boundary that you need to put up for yourself, a reminder of that. But also enough time goes by, and sometimes people change.
Okay. Well, I think a good example of that is the relationship that we see now with Kourtney Kardashian and Travis Barker.
Is it a good example of that?
Well, I feel like in terms of people changing, you know, and how new relationships can help unlock, you know, parts of you that you weren't necessarily ready for. We just saw them in the news. He was getting on a plane for the first time. He got in a massive plane crash a few years ago and had PTSD, wouldn't get on a plane again. Now he's dating Kourtney. They're very obsessed with each other, heavy PDA in the media, but we saw that he was able to get on a plane for the first time in a long time. Shows his growth and evolution. What do you think of these two? Are they in it for the long haul?
Is anyone ever in it for the short haul?
I think some people are.
If you're in the media
Yeah.
and you're getting on a goddamn plane, overcoming some of your greatest fears,
Yeah.
are you in it for short-term gain? People are meant to connect. That is what humans do. And despite what anyone is telling you, despite what the media wants to tell you, despite what dating sites, despite how anyone wants you to make you feel less than so you don't believe that, I'm here to tell you that that's bullshit. That we are put on the planet for human connection and for human love. And everyone is in it for the long haul. Are they in it with you for the long haul? I don't know.
Yeah.
But at the end of the day, everyone wants to connect.
Yeah.
We are meant for coupling, period.
Are we meant for monogamy?
Now, that is a great, great question. Everyone's ethics are different.
Yeah.
I mean, a term that I'm hearing a lot is ethical non-monogamy.
What does that mean?
Ethical non-monogamy means that you would be with your partner and you would have an understanding that you would not be monogamous. And the ethical part is the understanding, is that you're not betraying someone, you're not lying about it.
I have neighbors like that. I've been trying to let them to allow me into their threesome because I've interviewed them about their relationship and I'm in love with their relationship. And now I'm like, can I come into the relationship for like a night? And they're like, you're a neighbor. It's too close to home. But I'm like, I can move.
Well, I mean, it might be worth moving for. You never know.
We'll see. But what do you think about PDA? Because I feel like Kourtney and Travis, like their social media presence and their paparazzi presence are so aggressive. Do you like PDA? Is it a healthy sign of a healthy relationship? Or is it like we're trying to prove something to the world that maybe it's a little rocky in the foundation?
Every relationship is different. Every dynamic, how people feel, the level of comfort they feel with one another in their own bodies, with that other person in their body, it varies. So on the one hand, you might have a couple that shows a lot of PDA. On the one hand, you might have a couple that's very uncomfortable. And then sometimes there's one who's comfortable with it and one who's not, and that is a conflict in the relationship. So every dynamic is different. Apparently their dynamic is one where they feel super comfortable with it.
Apparently. I mean, seeing his hands on her butt so often is so aggressive for me.
Is it?
I'm like, he can put his hands on my butt, but like, give her a break. Okay, I want to talk about Tom Girardi and Erika Jayne because that's one couple that like my audience is obsessed with, and we break down their kind of legal scandal every week. But in watching this current season, so just to preface, he's going through a big embezzlement scandal. They're looking into, what crimes he actually committed. She was married to him for 20 years. She recently divorced him, and people are really kind of scrutinizing her, thinking she was just as culpable and just as guilty as he is. And so as we're watching this current season of Real Housewives of Beverly Hills play out, it looks like there's like a natural, as the scandal was breaking before all the details that we now know of at the beginning of the scandal, as it was breaking and they're filming it, it seemed like there was part of her that wanted to protect him a little bit. Despite knowing the things that he's now being accused of. When you've been with somebody for that long, is it natural to want to continue to protect them, even though they're now seemingly being painted as this awful criminal in the press?
Yeah. It's very normal and very natural to want to protect those we love. But you have to decipher between protecting someone and then perhaps being trauma bonded with them. They're very different. So, knee-jerk reaction to protect a husband, a wife is very natural. I mean, even an ex, someone that we've shared so much of our life with.
Is it natural though when we feel like, because I mean, the role she's seemingly playing is like the last 20 years of our marriage was a lie. I didn't realize you were committing these crimes behind my back. So is it possible to have that element of protection while also feeling betrayed by this person?
Oh, absolutely.
Okay, explain that to me.
We're under this impression that we feel one thing and then we feel something else and we feel something else, like one feeling at a time. And the bottom line is that we feel multiple feelings. we have hybrids of emotions. You certainly can feel protective of someone and betrayed by them. And that could certainly be happening for her. So yes, it is very possible, and it's very human to do.
Do you think relationships like theirs, where you have a very young, pretty woman and then you have a much older, successful man, do you think those relationships can work out? We see
Well,
them break up in the news often in
well,
celebrity culture.
as of 60 years ago, they were the norm. It's true. It's called
true.
it's I mean, for centuries we've have something called a beauty status exchange.
Yeah.
Where a man would exchange his status for a woman's beauty/fertility. So that has been the main marriage shitty setup for both men and women for centuries. Up until 60 years ago, really. It was the norm. And to some extent, we see it still today. What I would love to see is more older women with younger men, because when you see that, if you see a beauty status exchange, what that means is that what we're seeing is that an equitable distribution of resources among women as well. So currently, all the resources are with men. So then they're exchanging beauty and fertility. You know, flip that, and it's a whole new world. And at the same time, society, what we'll say about a woman who's with a younger man. I mean, look at us. Look at how we reacted to Megan Fox and Machine Gun Kelly.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, she's 4 years older than him. For God's sake.
They're a hot couple.
They really are a hot couple.
I like them. I like Megan Fox.
Yeah, me too.
So you're saying that they can work out, the relationship like that can work out under what circumstances? Like what headspace? Because like I'm ready.
Zach, they're
always
in
been...
the relate that they've been working out. That's been the norm for centuries.
I feel like I always date older, and I like dating older.
Oh, I didn't know that about you. Is RR older?
He was older by a year, but again, we were really young.
So the answer is no.
Yeah,
You're
no,
the same
not
age.
really. Yeah, we were the same age, and then I realized I didn't like dating guys in their 20s when I was in my early 20s. Like I just had a different headspace. But so I like an older guy. I like a taller guy. I like a guy that can kind of put me in my place a little bit. I mean, does that mean I have daddy issues? Like, what is my attraction to somebody older and more successful?
And I just want to point out the term daddy issues. I hate that term because what it implies is that you are to fault for the male figure in your life not showing up. I don't like that term. So no, you don't have daddy issues.
Good to know. You heard it here first.
But I think what I'm hearing you say is that you were asking me about another couple where the age gap was large because you yourself enjoy a large age gap. And that's a wonderful thing. There's nothing wrong with that. If that is what you're attracted to and that is what excites you, then there's nothing wrong with that at all.
So this summer, I joined Seeking.com, which is basically an empowered dating site for elite singles worldwide, like myself. Because, look, listen, I am no drive-through burger. I am a USDA certified organic premium grass-fed steak, and I need a man with a palate for the finer things in life. I've done all the dating apps and I'm over it. I'm just ready for a more elevated approach to dating. No more emotionally unavailable dudes, no more unemployed guys with no ambition and no sense of direction. Listen, I am here to build an empire and I need somebody that's got that same mindset. So I set up my profile. Yes, boys, you can find me there right now. And I'm ready for a guy that can hold it down. You know what I mean? Maybe someone experienced in business that can help me with a little mentorship. And look, if you've got a private jet, I ain't complaining. So if that's you and you want to join me, go to Seeking.com. Or if you want to join me on this journey of love yourself, join Seeking.com and let me know. What are you seeking?
Because I also feel like I just signed up for this dating website called Seeking.com, and I just decided that I was done with the dating apps because it's so superficial, it's so quick, it's swipe left, swipe right, and you have so much riffraff on the dating apps too that I was like, I need a service that's that feels
Concierge.
a little more concierge, but like is also curated towards like men that are successful and older. Because I feel like if I'm coming to the table with a full plate, then I don't want some Starbucks barista. Nothing against Starbucks barista. I fuck plenty of them and they're great in bed. But like I need somebody with ambition and somebody that has like goals ahead of themselves. Like if you're a barista now because you're working to pay for college, or you're working a side hustle and you need supplemental income, that's fine. But I don't like wishy-washy. I don't really know what I want, so I'm just kind of on a dating app just to like hook up. Like I want to come at dating with more of an objective.
Well, you've just told me a lot about yourself. Because what you're looking for in this possible new partner, you now have within you. And you want that.
Is that a bad thing?
That's a great thing.
Oh, I thought you were going to call me a narcissist.
No, not at all. If you want someone who exudes some confidence, who has mastery over their environment, who's determined, what I'm hearing you say is you have these things yourself and you're looking for that too. There's nothing wrong with that. I think our wants will often reflect how we are evolving in our own lives.
Like, I feel like I'm ready for like a more elevated dating approach. I don't want to date. Like, I feel like I've done enough dating for like the sport of it and gone on different dates with different types of guys to like get to know different types of guys and see, which of the Baskin Robbins flavors I enjoy most. And now I'm like, I'm interested in coming at it from a more conscious place. And I feel like a lot of people are afraid of asking them or being open about what it is that they like and what it is that they want.
Well, you don't seem to be that way.
Not me, but I feel like in general, that's the place that I was coming from, was like, I was afraid to ask for the things that I want because I, didn't know if I myself amounted to that.
Well, I mean, you might have been afraid to ask for the things that you wanted because you weren't sure you'd be able to get them.
That's another good point, yeah.
And so now what I'm hearing you say is you have the things that you want for you already. Yeah. So getting your wants from someone else is less important to you.
How do we define what we want versus what we actually need from a partner? Because I feel like we can say, oh, I want X, Y, and Z, but if that's not what we actually need because we haven't done the actual internal work to figure out where we are emotionally and mentally, how do we decipher wants from needs in relationships?
When we don't know ourselves very well, often what we want and what we need is inversely proportionate. So I'll give you an example. When I was younger, I thought that I needed someone with a lot of outward passion and a lot of fire. I thought, because that's what I grew up with. That's what was around me. And I thought that I needed that.
Yeah.
Well, let me tell you. I mean, could you see me with somebody like that? That relationship would be over. So my husband of 24 years now, he's not outwardly fiery. He's not outwardly, I mean, he keeps it very close to the vest. So what I needed was for someone to help me kind of calm down a little bit, put my fire out a little bit and give him a little bit of fire. So what I thought I wanted, that never would have lasted. What I needed was balance in my relationship and within myself. So you have to really tease that out for yourself. What are your wants and what are your needs? And oftentimes what you want is what you're comfortable with. What
not necessarily
you need,
what we need.
Exactly. What you need is probably a little bit discomfort.
Is that why I keep going back to the fuckboys that leave me on red?
What you need is consistency. And what you're confusing, I think, and this might, you can tell me, you don't have to tell me if I'm right or wrong now, or you can just give it some thought. Oftentimes we confuse intensity for love, and they are not the same. The intensity of your emotion is not the depth of love you feel for someone.
Okay.
We confuse those two things. So I don't necessarily know if I like the term fuckboys. We hear it a lot in media. I think there's like a show named Fuckboys.
Yeah,
and I hate that because what it ultimately does is set up a power dynamic.
Right.
That you somehow are better than this other person. And so I'm hearing you use that term a lot. And I have to ask, is that a need for control? Like
to refer to them as that or to date them? Maybe.
Both. To refer.
Maybe. It sounds like maybe it's a way for me to protect my ego by saying, even though I was rejected by this person, it's easier to dismiss them as a fuckboy rather than it is to accept the fact that this person may have not been interested in me.
Great. Okay. So I'm right. It's an ego term. It's a term built from ego, which never gets us anywhere. But go ahead.
I love my ego, though, Dr. V. That's why I bleached my hair for 7 hours.
Ego is helpful in so many situations. And then it's harmful in so many situations, right?
Yeah. So I feel like the pattern that I've caught myself in is going after guys that are not available or that don't want a commitment. And I seem to like to go for the chase. I like to go after somebody that kind of runs away a little bit because I want to conquer that.
Well, I have a theory about that. And I think that you, amongst so many other people, don't believe that you're worthy of love. And so that when you receive love from a potential partner, it feels yucky, it feels icky, they're not good for you, they're not good enough for you. Meanwhile, they're the person loving you. They're the person giving you what you need. And so I think it comes down to a worthiness issue, that you are worthy of love. You are worthy of everything that you want and everything that you need. So I just want to pass it along to you today.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome.
I feel like LA is such a hard city to like find that worth, though. You know, I feel like we're or in the media, in the news, on podcasts, on social media, we're often, sent these messages of not being worthy enough, or you need this product to feel more worthy, or you need this treatment to make yourself look better. How do we sift through all that noise to find that worth?
It's a process and it's a journey, right? But I love being able to inject people with confident vulnerability. So when you're in the dating world and you're dating or you have a partner, confident vulnerability will get you further faster. So, for example, in today's dating world, there's this strange assumption that the person who cares less wins. I'm here to tell you that the person who cares less gets less. Where else would you apply this theory in your life? Would you apply it to your work situation? Care less. You'll get a raise. Would you apply it to a family member? Care less. You would never. You would never. Why are we applying this to our relationships in the dating world? So my advice is always counterintuitive. Care more confidently. Who cares when you call or when you text back or if they don't text back? If you can confidently be vulnerable and you will get information if this person is right for you or not much faster.
Yeah.
So you don't waste 3 weeks.
Well, it's interesting. The reason I ended up going on Seeking was because I had the founder of Seeking on my podcast, and he was saying that, one of the things that helped him in his current relationship and in past relationships was kind of just having the willingness to own what it is that you actually want from a partner or what you want in life in general. But why do you think so many of us are afraid to kind of exude that confidence and be like, this is what I want? Be it superficial or be it emotional, like whatever those needs and wants or desires are, why are we so afraid culturally to just ask for them or kind of exude that confidence?
You're terrified of being rejected. Because vulnerably confident means that you would be vulnerable in a way where you could easily be rejected.
But isn't it more painful when you're confidently vulnerable and then you get rejected?
No. Well, of course, I'm not taking the pain factor out of it. What you're getting out of it is that you've gotten information from the other side much sooner. So you're not wasting a month playing the dating games, because the dating games end when you stop playing them. So when you're confident and you're vulnerable, you know that there's a possibility you're going to be rejected, and you know you're going to get through it. And you know you're going to survive that. And you know that it's a painful feeling that you're going to get over. So the confidence really exudes from all aspects, but it's of the ability to be vulnerable in a confident way. So sometimes people are vulnerable, but they're not really vulnerable. They're like kind of needy. And so some people get turned off by that, right? Because it isn't being vulnerable. You're not confident.
So what's the difference between being vulnerable and being needy? Like, if you're vulnerable and saying, I need more attention from you, couldn't that also come across as a little needy, though?
Hey, I really like you, and I would love to spend more time with you. If you're down for that, let me know. And if you're not, let me know. I get it. I understand how this game works. And I want to take away all of that nonsense and just distill it down to how you're feeling, because I want to let you know I can accept that. Boom.
Boom. I feel like there's also, though, this idea, and I think my theory is part of one of the reasons so many people are afraid to commit younger is we have this idea of what a perfect partner is supposed to be. And a perfect partner is supposed to check all the boxes and meet all of my emotional needs. But in talking to older couples that have been in relationships for a really long time, a lot of them have told me that you're not going to have all your boxes checked with a long-term match. What is your take on a lot of us waiting for that perfect sort of relationship or that person that really meets all of our needs? Is that an unrealistic?
Do you think you're perfect?
I know I'm perfect.
Okay. I know that I am terribly flawed.
Yeah.
And I expect my partner to be the same. So why are you holding people to a standard of perfection that you yourself cannot meet?
Interesting.
What an asshole thing to do.
It's true.
There is no such thing as a perfect person. There is no such thing as a perfect relationship. And we have to get out of that mindset. And I'm hearing so many people talk about what they're not getting, what they want, what they need. It's like what they want to take from the world. You got to turn that shit around. What can you give back? What do you have to offer someone? What can you get? How do you know how to love someone else?
It's so interesting. I feel like I have that perspective when it comes to work. And I would often run into people who are like, oh, well, I need to make sure this company's giving me benefits or this company's paying me more money or all of this. But I'm like, but what value do you bring to the company? And when you bring value to the company's going to take care of you at the end of the day. And I feel like that's maybe a smarter approach to have with relationships as well, is to see what you bring to the table to.
Well, I mean, we're not asking ourselves, we're sitting here asking ourselves, we're talking about how we can get our needs met by other people. And I urge you to ask yourself how you can meet the needs of others around you. It's really important to be able to know that you can meet the needs of others, that you want to understand other people, that you're just not looking to take from the world. And when you come at it from that place, it's just a slight different perspective. It's just a slight shift.
Do you think that comes from like a level of emotional maturity, or can anybody operate from that space? Because I feel like you have to really do some inner work, and you also have to make sure you're meeting your own needs as well before you're able to kind of fill somebody else's cup.
Relationships are cooperative. So if you don't know how to cooperate with someone, you're alone. If you know how to cooperate, they're cooperative in nature. That's what a relationship is.
Yeah.
It's cooperation. That's what humanity is, by the way. That's why we have survived over the centuries is
Mhm.
because of our ability to cooperate. So in a relationship, you have to remember that your relationship is cooperative. So that means not only do you have needs, not only are you looking to check off these silly boxes, but do you know how to love someone? Do you know how to care for someone? Do you know what that looks like? Or is it a codependent relationship? Have your relationships been more about codependency? Have been more about trauma bond? That it wasn't really about you loving that person. It was about your fear of them leaving you.
Mm.
So you have to be able to ask yourself some really hard questions. Just as a person, fuck having another person in your life.
Yeah.
Just as a human being, about yourself. I feel like you're drunk now.
I'm not drunk. I'm processing. I'm trying to understand how I can be a better dater, Dr. V.
A better dater.
A better dater.
Right,
A more
yes.
conscious dater and a better dater. I feel like a lot of us are afraid to ask for what we want. We're afraid to... I think a lot of us jump into relationships when we're not even ready to, when we haven't done a lot of that work and we are looking, and it is a more codependent relationship, or we're looking for somebody else to fix us or to fill all of the needs or all of the check boxes that we should probably be checking for ourselves.
Yeah, I mean, it's counterintuitive. You're ready for a relationship when you don't need it.
Mm.
So if you're sitting at home longing for a relationship, wanting to be in a relationship, you're not ready.
Mm.
Because when you're ready for a relationship, your life is full.
Is that why they say it happens when you're least expecting it?
I don't know. I don't buy any of this bullshit. I don't buy any of these phrases. You know me. So,
I know you.
But it's counterintuitive.
Okay.
You're ready for a relationship when you don't need one.
Yeah. Fair. You're always so good at giving. I know you hate all the quotes and the woo-woo mantras on Instagram, but you're so good at giving us the straight advice and sifting through the bullshit. So I want you to give my listeners and viewers right now a bit of advice with just the climate that we're in culturally. I feel like it's very divisive and everybody is not willing to find a common ground or not willing to hear out somebody that may have an opposing viewpoint. I find it happening with myself just talking about fictitious reality TV bullshit. People in the comments get so heated. Do you have any advice for how we can kind of just show up with a little more empathy for other people and understanding? Or do you think that, if somebody doesn't agree with us, maybe it's healthier to detached?
Well, you have to ask what kind of human you are. We're kind of circling back to the theme of this podcast. How to love others, right? How to care for other people. If you have a deep-seated need to be right, disengage immediately. Know that about yourself, that you're going to be in a head-pounding argument that you don't need that day. You don't need your nervous system to take that on.
Yeah.
So if you feel like you have a need to be right, disengage. If you're the kind of person that day, because we change from day to day, where you don't have that need to be right, you're able to listen, you're able to hear, you're questioning, you're curious, then hang in there. Listen to what the other person has to say. I also want to tell you about the bystander effect. Do you know what that is?
No.
So the
Enlighten me.
the bystander effect is until one person shows love and compassion, people will hold back. Be that person. Be that leader.
Give that space.
Give that space. So the bystander effect, you'll see, perhaps, I'll give you an example. A man's being beat up on the street. Someone will jump in. And then everybody jumps in.
Right.
But everybody stands around when there's not one person who will lead the charge.
Right.
So you have to decide, do you want to be a bystander or do you want to be a leader? And by the way, the world needs bystanders. We need those. We need that. You're allowed to stand by.
Yeah.
And maybe you could be both. And maybe you need to negotiate when you stand by and when you're a bystander and when you're a leader. So it's all about knowing yourself, knowing when to jump in and when not to.
Do you feel like too many people jump in because they just need that validation of being heard?
Okay, so if we're talking about social media, people are jumping in because other people jumped in. Now they're down for the fight.
Yeah.
Because they saw someone else was on their side. I rarely see a thread of one opinion. And then it's like a thread of all likes, or agreement. And then there's that one person who just doesn't agree. I rarely see that.
It's true.
You know? So again, it goes back to, are you a bystander? Are you someone who jumped in on the argument because somebody else did? And now you feel all self-righteous that you're right.
Yeah.
So all of this is grist for the mill. All of this is information about yourself.
Yeah.
What kind of human are you? And you have to know that in order to be able to either disengage or or jump in.
I think one of the pieces of advice that I remember you giving me years ago was, do you want to be right or do you want to be happy?
Oh, do you want to be right or do you want to be happy?
And I always want to be both. But I always choose happiness. I'm learning how to choose happiness over being right. Because you have to realize, like, a lot of times, a lot of people don't want you to be right. They just want to validate their own sort of perspective or opinion. And so going into a conversation with them isn't going to get you anywhere, because if nobody's willing to budge, then you're just going to be talking to a brick wall.
The content doesn't matter. So when you're in an argument, remember that whether it's with a spouse, whether it's with a relationship, whether it's with a person online, the content never matters. People just want to be heard. That is it. That is it. They just want someone to hear them.
That's why I have a whole podcast.
There you go.
I just want people to hear me, Dr. V.
There you go. You found your place.
There we go. Thank you so much. Everyone needs to buy Dr. V's book, Bad Advice, How to Survive and Thrive in the Age of Bullshit, because you're very good at combating the bullshit. It's an LA Times best-selling book, #1, right?
Yep.
You have your new podcast, The Tea with Dr. V, available on all podcast platforms. Follow Dr. V at Dr_V_ on the Instagram. Anything else you have to pimp out, Dr. V?
That's all I got. Thanks for having me.
You got a best-selling book.
Thank you for having me
podcast.
on. I really appreciate it. I love our conversation. So thank you so much.
Thank you. Thank you for coming back on. I think this is your 3rd time here.
Oh, yeah. And I always have such a great time. I mean, now I know that I can come back for rosé, so I'll be back more if you'll have me.
Yeah, I'm getting everybody Liddy City every time they come in studio now. Thank you guys for listening to #NoFilter with Zack Peter. You can give me a follow at JustPlainZack on the Instagram, or you can follow the podcast at No Filter with Zack. It's always a good time. We have funny memes and hot tea spilling every single day. You can slide into my DMs. They're wide open. And as Dr. V now has me emotionally ready to date. I don't want a relationship. It's going to come to me in the right time. Right, Dr. V?
When you're ready.
When I'm ready.
When you're ready.
Am I ready? Is that the conclusion?
Do you want to be in a relationship? If the answer is yes, you're not ready.
I was going to say no.
Well, then you're ready.
Oh, no. That means it's actually coming. I take that back. No, I'm kidding. Give Dr. V a follow, give me a follow, and stay tuned. Lots more tea to spill. #NoFilter with Zack Peter. Every Monday we have news breakdowns, and Wednesday unfiltered interviews. Get ready. I'll talk to you guys live this Thursday on Instagram, and be sure to join our new book club every Tuesday on Instagram. Slide into my DMs. I'll give you the deets, and don't forget to pick up some of my new Housewives Watching Wine on sale now at nofilterwine.com. All right, guys. Talk to you next week. Bye.